The Knights of God, the Trinity of Power, and the start of the most infamous incident in One Piece history. The recent developments of the story have kicked off the most interesting flashback in all of One Piece, and we have all been left wondering how the hell we managed to fall for Sengoku's propaganda all the way back in Wano's intermissions. In this video we will be taking a dive into the best tidbits of the story, and dissecting any path Oda might lead us down. Let's sail into the review of chapter 1160 of One Piece. To start things off, the Davy clan. I think we are seeing many more survivors of this ancient tribe than anyone else expected to see. The Celestial Dragon's theory on them being Buccaneers isn't unfounded either. Fans have speculated ever since the introduction of the Buccaneer race in Kuma's story that Blackbeard and his family may share similar DNA to Kuma and his own. While dialogue isn't as much of confirmation as something like a narrator box, it does give us something to think about. But the thing is, Oda knows this, and he loves his red herrings. The line is just as much confirmation of the Davy clan being Buccaneers as it is being Oda's way of throwing us off course. And another thing to keep in mind moving forward with all these family trees among other things that we are learning about is to make a distinction between a person's family name and their race. Even if Teach, Rux, and whoever else is involved here by blood turn out to be Buccaneers, it doesn't imply that all members of the Davy clan are. Over the last 800 years, the world's races have mixed and multiplied in several ways, and it is important to keep in mind the differences in physicality in regards to the members of the clan that we see in this chapter. The two big ones standing among them stand out as potential Buccaneers, but nothing clear as of right now. The most interesting of the two wearing a straw hat, possibly evidencing Joy Boy as Davy D. Jones, but that is a topic for another time. Last thing about this group of people is Teach's mother. It is more than interesting to see the physical similarities between the mother and the Nico mother-daughter duo, albeit in a state of disarray. A lot of theories are going around trying to decode who is a Davy and who isn't, and who among them carries that special blood. These similarities are not a coincidence. Everything about this special group makes you wonder, who survived? The only one we can say with certainty is Teach, but what about the mother? Will she have to sacrifice herself to save her son's life? Regardless, I think it will be important to keep track of each and every one of these people, as any one of them could have some kind of direct relevance to the great and mysterious Davy D. Jones himself. Another thing this chapter shows us is the development of Dragon's state of mind. We saw last chapter that God Valley would ultimately be the point of interest that would flip the biggest switch inside Dragon's head. We are no longer in the ellipses era of his character arc, and instead we are seeing his story unfold as a young Marine who has a strong condemnation for the government's actions and the Navy's role in aiding people he considers to be scum, and their actions which sum up to be perverted manslaughter. Like father, like son, Dragon's most hype moment this chapter is the bullet that went into that Celestial Dragon. This is the chapter that shows us that Dragon is without any shadow of a doubt a monkey. 3 generations of enemies to whom the government considers holy. The trinity of the monkey family that has it out for the irredeemable scumbags that are the Celestial Dragons is finally complete. Lastly about Dragon, through the chaos of a certain crew arriving at the island that we will talk about shortly, Dragon manages to rescue the Figarland twins from the grasp of the Celestial Dragons. This continues to beg the question we've had since we saw Shamrock and Shanks with their mother. How exactly were they separated? It seems Dragon is going to be bringing them both to safety, but it is implied that the Roger pirates found Shanks stranded in a treasure chest, presumably in God Valley, and Shamrock is not to be seen with him. It's entirely possible that Garling discovers the attempt to rescue his sons and snatches one of them and raises him as his own, explaining why one would grow up to be a holy knight and one of them to be one of the most feared emperors of the sea. Finally, we have arrived, the big confrontation, the Rock's bandits, Roger's crew, and Garp and his men. If there is something I believe through Sengoku's lies about what happened at God Valley, is that there is going to be a clash unlike anything prior in this story that will split skies and seas between these 3 factions. In a crazy looking double spread, we first see the Rocks pirates in all its entirety and glory, with Rocks wanting to work as a team for once in their goddamn lives so they can secure all the nation's treasures, all while Rocks does what he can for his family. It is most interesting to see the crew fighting over who gets to keep Shocky, while Kaido asks Big Mom whether she's serious about giving him a devil fruit. I think Joy Boy Theory said it best in his mega analysis of chapter 1159 while discussing the relationship between the two. Big Mom seems to be grooming Kaido into becoming the man we knew him in the Wano arc. She handpicks a devil fruit for him to raise him into becoming one of the most powerful emperors of the sea, knowing that she can't rely on her children alone for her domination. And yet, all of Big Mom's ways ultimately turn Kaido into a depressed alcoholic who only reminisces of Roger's glory and refuses to bring up anything regarding Rocks. Meanwhile, Rocks makes a most interesting distinction between Shocky, the devil fruits, and treasures that are theirs to claim. While he could most definitely be talking about the gold lying around waiting to be collected by the hunting game's winners, I feel it's important to remember that there may be something hidden at God Valley. There are 9 treasure chests waiting to be claimed as prizes, with 3 of them being black. While the 3 black chests could just be the most powerful of the fruits, there is a possibility that Oda made them stand out for being something else entirely. What exactly, I could not tell you. However, many speculate that God Valley suffered the same fate as Lelucia in the modern era, and whatever happened to the sea below Ennia's lobby. This flashback could be our first insight into Uranus, what many believe to be the flying third ancient weapon that may be lying beneath God Valley's rubble. Who knows, this might be what Garling meant in chapter 1158 about showing something to the Great One. We also see the Roger pirates pull up to the island after rocks, however there isn't much to say here. It's the men we've known for a while rushing to see who can go after Shocky first, and they will almost definitely make major waves in the clash that is to come next. Next we are formally introduced to the Holy Knights, with all the knights introduced and visible. The most important thing to note here is the 2 new knights that we didn't even see as a silhouette back in Egghead. One of them looks a lot like Killingham, but it is not clear that they are related in any way. It will be interesting to see how the characters of Garling and Gunko evolve specifically, as they seem to be the most relevant of the group so far. To wrap it all up, the mighty fist of Garb descends into the scene to hold the tears of cowardly marines who can't keep it together in front of the real strength of 2 of the most notorious pirate crews in all of the ocean's history. Garb has a deep and complex relationship with each of the 3 other factions currently present in the island, and dare I say, his response to each of them might just be the most interesting. He hates the Celestial Dragons, he hates Roger, and he hates rocks. This man has come to simply flat. I want to believe in the team-up between him and Roger, as that may very well introduce us to the most insane combo attacks we've seen, but Sengoku's words may as well be thrown in the trash with what we have until now. While not as stacked with lore and implications as the past 2 or 3 chapters have been, with this one Oda has finally completed the entire preparation to give us the God Valley incident in all of its infamy and glory. What do you think? What will each of the 4 factions amount to during this clash? What will Dragon ultimately end up achieving in God Valley? Is there more secrets lurking in this legendary island? Leave your thoughts in the comments and we'll dive right back in on the next one.